Check 1 2, check, 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 check. Check 1 2, check 1 2. Well, good morning and welcome to the 1 year, my hair's all messed up, the 1 year anniversary of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. All week we are going to be celebrating 1 year on the air. It went quick, and I thank you all for joining us through that time. I really appreciate it. We've had a lot of great guests this year. Today we're going to be talking with Congressman Tom Reed, former Congressman Tom Reed. He'll be joining us here in just a little bit over Zoom. Look forward to picking his brain on the State of the Union and some of the other topics that we'll be discussing. I received this comment early this morning, and thank you to everybody reaching out. I think it's a pretty bold, fair overview of the Biden regime. This is in reference to Katie Britt's State of the Union rebuttal. And after all the crazy attacks and lies said about the Republicans, it's pale in comparison. Their dismay over her speech highlights the current administration's double standard. Yes, the long knives came out for Katie Britt over the weekend, but not for Mitt Romney. This is kind of interesting. I think this is actually probably not so much a blessing, but as a curse. Romney defended Katie Britt, even suggesting she'd make a great VP. The media overreaction to her, not his, meaning Biden's speech, tells us who liberals most fear as VP nominee. It's a good way. The delivery was over the top, out of character. Biden's, of course. Katie Britt's, too. The media overreaction to hers, not his, tells us who liberals most fear as VP nominee. Now, there has been some talk of Katie Britt perhaps being on the short list of VPs, but boy, Dino Badala came out. Katie Britt's outrageous statements about migrants. At least one person truly loved Britt's speech. Former President Donald Trump praised Britt for delivering what he called a great speech that was compassionate and caring. His accolades could not come as a surprise. After all, Britt took a page from his playbook by baselessly ratcheting up fears about an influx of migrants to scare voters into supporting the GOP. Okay. But actually, I even saw some conservative outlets turning on her. I thought she did a good job. I understand a little bit of her, some of the criticism, I suppose, of her speech was a little bit, maybe over the top is the right word, but Britt's speech has been highly criticized for its content, delivery, and even its setting, and a response far greater than previously maligned presidential responses from Marco Rubio and Bobby Jindal. Katz claims Britt is described, oh, well, we don't want to go through all that, but so a lot of controversy about Katie Britt's speech. What do you think? Breitbart, which is a conservative outlet, said Katie Britt's screw up of human trafficking details becomes embarrassment for the GOP. So you can weigh in. I know I'm excited. It's the 1 year anniversary. Oh, I forgot. One thing I forgot. Look. There we go. We're celebrating this morning 1 year on the air. I'm so glad that you can be a part of it. You see the number on the bottom of your screen. Feel free to reach out at any time. On tomorrow's program, we'll be talking with former Congressman Joe Sempolinski. We have a lot of, well, it's a star-studded lineup all week. So just tune in every morning starting at 7. All right, we got to take our first break. Then we're going to cover a couple quick things that we're going to rush through a lot because we've got to spend some time with Tom Reed here in just a moment. So stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox celebrating 1 year.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tub experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Attention, this is an important message for firefighters, members of the military, and airport workers. For decades, first responders and firefighters at military bases and airports used a chemical-based foam to fight fires. Studies have shown that chemicals used to make aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, are highly toxic to humans and have been associated with several types of cancer. If you or someone you know was diagnosed with any of those cancers, call now for a free case review.
Put confidence, adventure, and accomplishment firmly in your hands with the Polaris Sportsman lineup. Get the most out of every day. Pull off the toughest hauls and keep charging on.
Ithaca Recreation Sports, Route 13 in Newfield. Get outside and ride.
It's a new season of Sherry.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Celebrating 1 year as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Monday morning. So Joe Biden, and it is interesting to Mitt Romney's point, and you know I'm not the biggest Mitt Romney fan, but it's interesting that they are calling out Katie Britt in the media so much more. I mean, really, if you think about Biden's State of the Union, it's been called great, probably the greatest speech he's ever given. He's got energy, he's got drive. And so they need to attack Katie Britt for her delivery. It's very frustrating, but Joe Biden has been called out by a few for screwing up Laken Riley's name. Miranda Devine has a very interesting piece. Joe Biden's as callous as it gets when it comes to Laken Riley. As if it weren't bad enough that Joe Biden had to be heckled into mentioning her name in an impromptu outburst. And even then cared so little about the murdered 22-year-old that he called her Lincoln. But then he went and apologized over the weekend for accurately describing the illegal alien murder suspect as illegal. Miranda Devine says there's a screw loose in the president's moral compass, if he has one at all. You think Biden might feel some guilt about his seminal role in Riley's death and accord her at least the honor she did George Floyd when who he eulogized as a saint. An apology, perhaps, and a vow to stop more psychopaths flooding across the border. Her family and traumatized fellow students deserve no less. But no, he ignored Riley's grieving parents, butchered their daughter's name twice, and then pandered with great empathy to the 8 million plus lawbreakers he has ushered in to the country. What happened was he was on MSNBC. And by the way, just to show you a little bit about MSNBC, this was the question he started with. That was one, and we'll say heck of a speech you gave Thursday night. Yes, hard hitting. He knew where to go. His first question was gently to chide the president for using the term illegal. You use the word illegal when talking about the man who killed Lincoln Riley. Biden jumped in. An undocumented person. I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. So he apologized for using the term illegal, not apologizing to the family of Riley. Angel mom, Allison Phillips, who is Lincoln Riley's mom, blasted pathetic Joe Biden for mispronouncing her daughter's name. Biden does not even know my child's name. It's pathetic. If you're going to say her name, even when forced to do so, at least say the right name. Mike Johnson over the weekend said the president is cowering to his base, meaning when he apologized for using the term illegal, and showing deference to a man who deserves none. This man is an illegal immigrant who brutally murdered Laken Riley. President Biden should be apologizing to Laken's family. What an embarrassment. All right, we got to take another short break. Oh, look at all the waves coming in. Thank you for joining us on the 1 year anniversary of Frankly Speaking. Here's another comment from a viewer. Biden should have gotten the State of the Union, right. It was the same speech for the last 3 years. Thank you very much. Keep those comments coming in. We're going to take our next break, and then we are... Well, no, I got a little time here. Okay, good. I got a little time because we have the former Congressman, Tom Reed, joining us in just a moment. That Zoom takes a little bit longer, so I want to make sure that we get to him on time. One thing that I failed to mention on Friday that I've been meaning to bring up on the program for our friends here in Corning, USA Today, 10 Best nomination for Corning, New York. You can vote for Best Small Town Cultural Scene or Best Half Marathon, which is our friends at the Wine Glass Marathon, of course. You can vote right there. You see the website, 10best.com/awards/travel. Now, voting is open now for 4 weeks only and ends on Monday, March 25th. So I've been meaning to bring that up. I'm going to keep that up on the screen just a little bit longer. Yes, as I said, it is the 1 year anniversary, frankly speaking. It's hard to believe how much we've all been through together in that 1 year. We've had so many amazing guests, and it's going to continue that tradition all week long. We're going to have Joe Sempolinski, two former congressmen back-to-back, Tom Reed today and Joe Sempolinski tomorrow. Assemblyman Phil Palmisano is going to be joining us. Assemblyman Chris Friend, still working out some of the last-minute details. Mayor Bill Bolin will be joining us as well, so you want to tune in all week long. All right, let's take another short break, and we'll be back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
America's beloved classic, The Sound of Music, is coming to the stage at Corning Peña Post High School March 21st through the 23rd at 7 p.m. and March 24th at 2 p.m. This timeless story of family, love, and triumph will find you singing along with all the songs you've grown up with. All reserved seats are just $10, so get yours today at www.cppasd.com/tickets. That's www.cppasd.com/tickets. So bring your family today and find your dream.
Attention, if you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
Emerald over here, and I'm so excited to tell you about my French door air fryer 360. Extra large 26 quart capacity. Cook with up to 70% less calories from fat than deep frying. That's a big deal, my friend. 360 degrees of superheated air gives you fast, even cooking. My 10-in-1 French door air fryer 360 grills, air fries, dehydrates, roasts, bakes, broils, proofs, slow cooks, and toasts. This baby does it all. These French doors are a game changer. Look at how easy that is.
Now, find out how you can try Emerald Lagasse's French Door Air Fryer 360 with 3 cooking tiers, fetch tool, air frying rack, and drip tray in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Order now and you'll also get Emerald's Air Fryer Favorites recipe book. And we'll automatically upgrade you to our bonus cooking kit free. Plus, find out how you can get free shipping. This offer will not last, so call or click now to order.
You're gonna love it.
Oh, here we go.
Hold on. Oh, we're coming in.
Yep. Hold on real quick, Tom. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on this 1 year anniversary edition. And joining us, let's see if this goes smooth, former Congressman Tom Reed. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Can you see me there, Frank?
Yeah, it looks good. Thanks so much for being on the one. This feels like old times on the anniversary show.
It's an anniversary show. Can you believe it? 1 year already for you, Frank.
1 year.
Congratulations,
well,
as always.
Well, thank you. Well, it's been a lot of fun, and it's not as if we don't have a lot to talk about, Tom.
There's a few things going on, no doubt about it.
So let's
Looking
start.
At the year, in the past and a year ahead. It's going to be an amazing year.
It's amazing how quickly it all goes. But I wanted to ask you your thoughts on the State of the Union. Obviously, it's still making the rounds in the news. I'm sure you watched it. What do you think?
Yeah, I was there in D.C. that night.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, watching what I always hope when you have a platform like that, that the President of the United States would seize the moment to try to unite the country. And we've been working on that, as you know, with Problem Solvers Caucus. We founded and working across the aisle, but still being a proud Republican. There's still a lot of proud Republicans that want to get things done for the American people. And what I saw was just a continuation of where D.C. is at right now. D.C. is completely divided. And that's why you look at the numbers. 60 to 70% of the people I see in the numbers say, are you kidding me? This is what our leaders are doing in Washington, D.C. And I still talk to international world leaders. And I got to tell you, it sends a very chilling message, not only to our allies, but it also, hearing how you get reports from those individuals that are our friends, that are enemies, seize these moments, and they're looking for this division to seize upon to advance their agenda. And I'm really focusing on that relationship between China, Iran, and Russia. They are coordinating together like you would not believe. And I throw North Korea into that picture. But I'll tell you, at the end of the day, it's still about the American people, and it's about uniting our forces as proud Americans to say, come on, we need to solve problems. We need to be the leader. And you know what we don't want to do? We don't want to become another socialistic nation that thinks that government's going to solve all our problems. Government just protects us from the bad guys. And at the end of the day, make sure that we go forward in a strong fashion so the American individual and their families can succeed. That's how I believe.
Isn't it interesting? Because it did seem, kind of to your point, just like an overdone campaign speech in a way.
Oh, it's all was. And, you know, I know the president. I worked for President Joe Biden many a times over the years. And he came up to Rochester with Joe Kennedy. We had an advanced manufacturing bill that we did together. He came up. And what I think I saw that night is someone who is just not the same Joe Biden that I know, that I worked with. And also someone who's just turned it over to his staffers in the political department and said, you know what? You know, damn the issues that we need to solve together. Just play a campaign speech tonight, and it's very divisive to the country.
It really is.
I wish we could do better than this.
When you watch the State of the Union, or you're there in Washington, do you ever miss it, Tom, or does it just make you?
No, I do. I mean, you miss. I get questioned that often. Like I was just walking up in the Capitol, not even on the State of the Union, but multiple times in the last month. Been up there. Meeting with old friends, and yeah, of course you miss it in the sense of you miss the people. But what really, why I still engage as much as I do is because I love the institution. When you walk through the Capitol, when you're there, and you see that and experience it, I'll do whatever I can to make sure that Capitol does not fall. I'll do whatever I can within my power to make sure I do my part. And ask everybody else. It's time to step up. It's time to get involved. It's time to engage, not a time to run. It's a time to run into and fall forward, not fall backwards.
And people ask me this all the time when I'm out on the street, and so I'm going to ask you, what's new in your world, Tom? How has everything been? Excuse me.
Personally, it's great. I mean, I have a law practice in Rochester, New York. You know, I have the place on Keuka Lake. I still see folks around the neighborhood. We did move up to Buffalo to be with my mother-in-law. She passed, and we got 2 years out of her, and that was a wise decision. We lived right around the corner as she passed at 82 years old. And I just tell you, it's life has an amazing way of, you think you have it all planned out, you know exactly what's going to happen the next day. And then he has a different plan for us. And I've been working real hard just to try to follow his plan, do my part. And that's what we're doing. And it's great. I do stay in contact with a lot of people back in the Valley, in Corning and Elmira. And so I'm very concerned, to be perfectly honest with you, there too, as to what I'm hearing out of our one of our major employers and what's going through that transition. And I'll just tell you, I'm here to help. I'm here to be a voice to try to say, you know, that's my home. This whole area is my home. I can't wait to get up there and go fishing April 1st, right around the corner.
All right, let us know. We'll be there. Hey, I saw recently on a Google alert on your name that you did a piece on state and local tax deductions. I was hoping you could talk about that. We mentioned it on the show, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, no, this is the precursor of what, when we wrote the tax code in 2017, I can remember being in the Library of Congress building, and we had the whiteboards up, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And, I lost the fight. I tried to argue that the tax code should have been done on a permanent basis. That would have required 60 votes in the Senate. That's an inside parliamentarian D.C. Issue that I learned years ago. But I wanted to do it permanent, not like what they did with the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and then we were committing the same sin by doing it under reconciliation at 50-vote threshold vehicle in the Senate. And so you have all these cliffs, because you have to work within a budget 10-year window. And so you can't do permanent policy, because you're beholden to a scorekeeper, the parliamentarian, over in the Senate to keep it at that 50-vote threshold. So you have all these sunset provisions that are in there. And state and local tax deduction, if you recall, I mean, that was me. They came to me, the New Yorker on Ways and Means, and I said, they said, this tax that we were looking at to pay for tax reform, because you had to cover $1.2 trillion worth of revenue. They said the border adjustment tax, essentially an import tax, if you want to think of it that way, blew up. The Senate was not going to accept that. Our import, the people that rely upon commodities in particular, like cocoa beans and other commodities coming from abroad, they were just like, we're not going to support, so it blew up. So they needed to pay for. And when you repealed the state and local tax deduction, that score was pretty much 85% of the 1.2 trillion we needed. And I said, you cannot, if you remove the state and local tax deduction completely, our folks in our district, the 23rd Congressional District, would have been hurt tremendously. That's where the $10,000 limit came from, Frank. And we negotiated that. It took care of 99% of our people because of their incomes and how they utilize the tax credit. Long story short, that piece is going to be a critical linchpin in 2025 when all these provisions sunset. When all of these provisions of the tax code have to expire, and you got major pieces in the individual, everybody on the individual side is going to face a major tax increase if they can't cut a deal. Corporations are going to get a significant tax increase. States are going to get a significant tax increase. So I'm calling this the tax tsunami of 2025.
Okay.
And we're starting to set the table of people understanding how the state and local tax deduction is going to be a very forcing mechanism to get Republicans and Democrats to come together and be part of the negotiations to settle up and get this tax policy taken care of. So Americans, individuals, as well as businesses and estates don't face a huge tax increase after 2025.
Do you think that we can come together, Tom? To your point earlier, it just seems like we're so divided that even maybe what would be an easy option is not always the option chosen.
Well, this is let me put it this way, Frank. Because we are talking trillions of dollars of money that impacts individuals, impacts you.
Sure.
Literally, Frank, impacts you. And it impacts the multinational corporations. It's amazing how money seems to be one of the last bastion that brings people together.
Sure does.
And that's been a piece of the toolbox for eons, but now it seems like it's the last bastion. So when you talk about that, confident that a deal can be struck there. Now, if we don't strike that deal, then that sends me a signal that even money can't heal a broken Washington, D.C. And if that's the case, then we are over the abyss. We are into uncharted territory. I still believe we can pull out of this. I still believe we can navigate our future as proud Americans. But at the end of the day, this is, I think there's a deal here, and it will happen given the interests that have to be addressed on the whole spectrum that we intentionally put together.
Right.
But let's see. But that's why I'm trying to get ahead of it right now to start laying the groundwork to say, hey guys, if you need answers, if you kind of want to see where this fog is going to settle up, I've been there, and let's see if we can navigate through it together.
Tom, I don't think we've spoke since this happened, but what did you think of the change in the House where now it's Speaker Mike Johnson? Were you like us watching that on C-SPAN for about 24 hours?
Yeah, no, I was involved in that behind the scenes a little bit.
Yeah.
I saw And even when Kevin, Speaker McCarthy, went into this job, he knew it was a limited job.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it is a very divided caucus. It is and you have a 1-seat majority, and then he lit the further fuse of the ability to vacate him from the office, as we've all learned, as you learned through this process. So it didn't surprise me. It's to be perfectly honest with you, it's a testament to how politically savvy Kevin McCarthy was to be able to survive as long as he did.
That's true.
And you see the ripple effect of that survivability, even with how we got through this recent funding bill, and we're going to get through this funding bill that just got signed in or been lit to sign into law, so we don't get a government shutdown as we speak. And so that didn't surprise me. Now, the issue with Mike Johnson, he's a good man. And one of the things that he has, honestly, that Kevin didn't have, a lot of people in the conference did not trust Kevin. They didn't. They just knew he was a political guy. And that's okay. It's DC.
Right.
And eventually, though, you run out of bandwidth. It's not how I operate. It's not how I was taught to do the business. But the big asset that Speaker Johnson has is that people trust him. He is a man of God. He does not shy away from it. He relies on that on his outside of his politics and out of his job as Speaker to get him through those dark days. And that's really understandable from my point of view. And he conducts himself with that type of integrity. Now, that being said, it is a very complicated job.
Yes.
You are dealing with some very egotistical, divisive people. And then you also are working at a time with people whose interest is not about getting that job to be a success. It's about having him fail. So there's going to be a limit to his bandwidth too. And every speaker faces that if you're a student of history.
Have you been surprised actually that he lasted this long because we're so divided?
I have, because as you saw as they went through the process, not surprised, I shouldn't say that. I was not surprised he lasted this long, because as we went through the process of the traditional change in power in the Speaker's office, they kind of vetted each one of those individuals, and that took and they couldn't get the ring, so to speak.
Right.
So being a compromised candidate did not surprise me. I put my bet, if you would, when we were going through this, a little office pool. I'm like, and I didn't put it on Mike. I put it on another individual that I thought was going to be able to thread that needle after multiple rounds. But so it doesn't surprise me that he survived this long, and he's not going to be in jeopardy through the rest of this cycle. He will serve out this cycle. There's no doubt in my mind. Where he's going to have a problem is at next year. The knives are already out. The knives are already out like you would not believe. It's such a Machiavellian place right now in Washington, D.C. They are just ready for him to fall. And that's where you see the hits on him, the death of 1,000 cuts that he is suffering. And so I would hazard to bet that he will not be Speaker going into the next cycle. But that also assumes one other thing.
Right.
You have to assume that the House is in Republican majority, and it's going to be tight. But if I had to bet now, it's pretty clear that Democrats are going to take over the House, given the lay of the map and where that's at. That being said, whoever takes over the House in the next cycle, it's going to be a very slim majority.
Oh, yeah. We
are not talking, the days when I came in, 30, 40, 50 deltas between Democrat and Republicans, or Republicans and Democrats, when the majority was held by Pelosi or Boehner and those guys. It's going to be no higher than 5 to 10, highly likely in that 1 to 7 type of range. But that's getting way into the granular level here.
What did you think, and I know because you had to live through this, what did you think about the redistricting process here in New York and how that all unfolded?
Yeah, what two things that were very interesting to me as we went through, and having been through a few redistricting, it is heavily politically driven. And knowing where the primary fights in the congressional districts are, really, because you're restricted by map, you're restricted by geography. So the real fight was down in the city. And the real fight on redistricting, as I watched it from afar, was more on the Democratic side, to be perfectly honest with you, because you started running out of room down on the island and in the city kind of districts.
Right.
And those Democrats didn't want to be paired together with each other in primary battles. But what that did is it left pretty stable Republican districts upstate available. They had no path to go. The other thing that they learned when they drew the maps under Sean Patrick Maloney, I do know this for a fact, they got very greedy.
Yeah.
They were very arrogant that they drew a Democratic map that, he would walk around, they were walking around the country saying, this is how we're going to get the majority. I locked it in New York, my home state. This is something I can control. And then they threw it through an independent, because of the court case that went up through it. And even a Democrat-controlled appellate division and court of appeal said you went too far in political gerrymandering.
Yeah.
And they threw out the map. And Eric Holder's the guy behind all of this map-making stuff across the country. As you see that districts are challenged even in off years. They're never stable for 10 years anymore.
Right.
If there's a political opportunity, they pursue it and they get it into the courts and they redraw the maps every 2 years as opposed to once every 10. And so, so where that ended up is they learned the lesson: don't get greedy.
Right.
So they came up with a map that is pretty reasonable, gives them a pretty good chance to pick up a couple seats in New York, but they got to work for it, and they won't be cooked in the thing. And they also took care of their Democratic political itch of not putting these incumbent Democrats in a primary situation.
Well, and they kept saying that the old maps were competitive and they didn't want them. I thought, isn't that the goal? Shouldn't it be competitive? You would think.
Frank, you and I are both born New Yorkers, man. That's the way it's supposed to be. I am so naive. I mean, it's so naive when I went to Washington, D.C. and learned a lot over the years. And that's why I always told my colleagues, I go, come on, guys. I mean, you're here to represent the people. Just make it fair.
Right.
Just make it fair. That's all. And we'll fight. Let our ideas win the day. Let our work ethic win the day. Let our integrity win the day. And how you treat people, but that's not Washington, D.C.
No, and it's just frustrating as Republicans when we see, well, it's bad, but it's not as bad as we expected. Like, that's the bar that we set now. Well, it's okay, yeah. But anyway, so Tom, I wanted to ask you before we go. We got a little time left here, but about Israel. I know that the president's putting a red line there in Israel, and that we saw it in the State of the Union where he seems to be wavering from his original full-throated support for Israel. I just wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah, this is the politics of division, in my opinion, on the Democratic side.
Right.
They have this very interests that I've never seen before, where they're speaking, and you see people in the squad, the Democratic squad, elected officials, that are taking very hard lines against Israel, our key ally in the region, and more embracing the extreme Muslim type of factions of Muslim. Remember, this is not all Muslims that I'm talking about.
Of course.
Most Muslims are peace-loving individuals. They want to live in a secure country, just as when I was in Jerusalem talking to the shopkeepers one-on-one without coaching or anything of that nature. That's not what we're talking about. But this Hamas situation is something where, and again, it goes to our lack of standing as the world leader. You got China, Russia, and Iran coordinating with each other every day. And that Hamas and Hezbollah and how they interact with each other. Hamas is kind of more of the aggressive, if you want to think about it this way. Some people maybe don't pay a lot of attention to it. That is a Sunni bloc of the extreme faction of Muslim, and Hezbollah is the Shiite. And what they tend to do is use Hamas because they're willing to do some things that others would not do.
Right.
Let's put it that way. And there was a stabilization that was occurring between our Arab allies, be it Saudi Arabia and Israel, and you saw that with the Abraham Accords previously, where Jerusalem was recognized as the national capital of Jerusalem as an example of that negotiation. And so China, Russia, and Iran coordinated together to say, hey, we can't have that happen. So Hamas took the strike, took the opportunity to destabilize those talks, and now we're in a situation where it's a powder keg.
Right.
It literally could go off any minute now. And what I'm very concerned about is if you have a president like President Biden right now, who demonstrates through the State of the Union being controlled by the political operatives when he gives a message like that. There are people analyzing that going, here you go. We got him right where we want. He's going to respond to the political itch of that extreme faction of the Democratic Party that's supporting Hamas. And so you see a situation that could be very troublesome, that people take advantage of intentionally, but more realistically, Frank, and this is the real danger, they miscalculate. They don't have real-time data like they used to. They don't have relationships. And if you think the geopolitical order is realigning, and you can very easily miscalculate on what you're doing. One of the non-for-profits that I'm involved with, we're having an Iranian expert of the Middle East come to our group, the Committee of the American Majority, that myself, Max Rose, bipartisan group, Larry Hogan is one of our honorary chairs. On the 18th, we're having a Zoom meeting where we're going to talk about this issue in particular, like the politics of the Middle East, and from an American's perspective, Max and I's. But this Iranian expert will get into this in a little bit more detail as to exactly, and it's an American, worked in whatever, he worked in appropriate agencies, let's put it that way, that would know the real on-the-ground intel as to what's going on. And that's the concern he relays to me, and I've heard it from many others, that the biggest concern is miscalculation that could occur in this region, as well as the aggressiveness that these guys are committed to.
I know. And it's interesting, too, because you mentioned that faction of the Democrat Party. It's going to be interesting that the convention's in Chicago again, and that makes you think of the protests. You know there's going to be a lot of protests at this Democratic convention, if nothing changes in the Middle East.
No, absolutely going to be protests, and there's going to be protests at the Republican convention. And I will tell you, I mean, it's the, and I just walked through one the other day on the State of the Union.
Yeah,
I mean,
I heard that.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
it was fun. I'm used to them. Remember our town halls?
Yes.
I'm used to them, and I still treat everybody the same. Walk right up and, hey, how you doing? Thanks for coming out. That type of thing. But it's going to a level. And that's why January 6th continues to resonate. A little trauma there from living that.
Sure.
We can't have that in America. We can't have people taken to the streets like this and trying to settle their differences with intimidation, force, and violence. No. I mean, we've done it before in America's history. We should know better, especially the older generation as well as the younger generation. All you had to do is read history.
Right.
And it gives you a lot of insight as to the survivability of America. And that's what gives me hope, is that we faced these times. My God, we had a civil war.
I know.
Where so many Americans lost their own lives in that fight. It can happen. That's what the lesson of history teaches me. It can happen, but that's why good people like yourself, Frank, and I'll try to do my part to try to steer us through these dark clouds. But it is very troublesome, and it keeps me up at night. I've lost more hair since last time.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I'm noticing you're losing some too.
A little bit. It's definitely going gray too. So before we go, Tom, what do you have in the works? What should we be aware of?
It's okay. One of that Committee of American Majority, keep an eye on in regards to if anybody's interested. It's a non-for-profit situation where we're just trying to help problem-solving caucus type members and governance. So if you're interested in that, reach out to us. And then, but also, I'm in DC Tuesday to Thursday at Prime Policy Group, where I do my traditional government lobbying efforts, right 2 blocks from the White House on K Street there. But then also I have the law firm in Rochester. So we're representing entities. We do a lot of litigation work in regards to defense work that my partner, Joe Rizzo, your former boss, he manages that firm. We do some municipal work, so we're representing counties and villages and cities in that practice. So we're plugged into the local community in the old district in a way that keeps me informed as to what's going on there.
Sure.
And see where I can do help there as I work on the national level with Prime Policy Group at K Street.
So you're staying busy is what you're saying.
Yeah, we are definitely staying busy. There's no doubt about it. But, I'm 52 years old, and as I told Jean, my wife, that I got a good 25 years left in me. You got to get out there and earn it. Got to get out there and work for it. And you know my DNA, Frank, you and I know your DNA.
Yeah.
It never stops. It never stops, and you never stop till the final whistle goes off, in my opinion. Have a little fun along the way. There's no
of
doubt
course.
about that. But that's why I still go for my hunting and fishing trips on a regular basis. That's why we got to get together.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, thanks so much for being on the 1-year anniversary. I know we're going to talk again soon.
I look forward to it. And again, I end where I started. Congratulations, Frank. You've always demonstrated to me a great skill set in this area of communications and PR and whatever you want to call what you do in reporting news the right way. And we appreciate that.
Well, thanks, Tom.
Keep it up, and more success is going to come your way.
Well, great. Well, thanks, Tom. We'll talk soon. We got to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Looks like y'all got a lot of stuff here in your water.
You're never gonna believe it, but this can filter up to 60 different contaminants from your water.
It's all about cleaner drinking water.
Dude, that's good water.
And that's good water.
Now that's good water.
That's good water, eh?
No matter where you live, there's a Culligan water expert nearby. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
When it comes to subs, wings, strombolis, and calzones, nobody does it better than Picnic Pizza. Picnic Pizza has been serving the Twin Tiers for over 40 years. With 2 convenient locations to serve you, Horseheads and Big Flats, you can dine in, carry out, or we'll deliver in a 5-mile radius. We offer everyday in-house specials like a family pack, 1 large pizza, 1 dozen wings, and 1 quart of soda. Having a party? How about a party pack? 1 sheet pizza, 2 dozen wings, and 2 quarts of soda. Picnic Pizza, the best darn pizza in the area.
Are you 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now and get this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. This book reveals little-known secrets about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms that can help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. And if you call right now, as a bonus, we'll throw in a free annuity rate report. We've researched over 1,200 annuities summarizing the rates and benefits for you. So don't miss out on this opportunity because supplies are limited. Call now and find out how you can get up to 33% more income in your retirement, and you'll receive Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and the Annuity Rate Report as an added bonus. Both books are yours free, just for calling Annuity General today.
Call 800-354-5972. That's 800-354-5972. Again, 800-354-5972.
I'm begging you to take my help, and you're not.
Fox Monday.
Oh my God.
We've saved the grossest.
What is that?
And most dramatic transformations.
I'll do whatever it takes to keep it going.
For the 2-hour season finale.
This is not good. Oh my God. All I want to do now is get the hell out of here.
Tonight. We are back with Frankly Speaking, the 1-year anniversary edition. Thank you to former Congressman Tom Reed for being our guest on the program this morning. We have a great list of guests throughout the whole week. I appreciate Tom being on. I'm running a little late, so I do have to take another break. But before that, a couple of quick messages from you, the viewer. First, Frank, congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. Thank you. It's been a blast, as you know. The Democrats' agenda is the only thing that they can see. To the Dems, casualties associated with their agenda are a small price to pay for achieving their goals. They can't close the border to protect our country. They must change the electorate. Just like they can't harden our schools to protect our kids, they must get rid of guns. Thank you very much. Another comment here. I don't think the framers of the Constitution foresaw career politicians that span decades. I see that as a major flaw that sounds too much like a fragmented dictatorship. I know people have talked about this on the program before. We've had a lot of viewers mention it. Yes, I think term limits would be very, very important. Perhaps maybe the easiest way to make major change. But again, that would mean that they have to vote essentially themselves out, which I don't think we'll see anytime soon. We do have to take another short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselsen's Hot Tub. Hesselsen's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselsen's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselsen's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
Attention, if you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and now have uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call now to see if you qualify. There's no fee unless we win your case.
You'd have to get in the seat of a John Deere 3 Series tractor. Not because of the powerful implements, or because of our unmatched dealer support. Not even because it's in it for the long haul. You just have to get in the seat because being this efficient just feels good.
Right now at Lindsay Equipment, save up to $1,500 on remaining in-stock 2023 3 Series compact tractors.
A mag knife taking this much abuse and didn't need sharpening. Introducing the incredible NutriBlade knives. They're coated with granite stone non-stick and made of stainless steel, one of the hardest substances on earth. Now everyone can chop, slice, and dice just like a pro. The Easy Grip rubberized handles deliver incredible control and accuracy to chop salads in seconds and cut frozen solid meat with ease and get razor-thin slices every time. The non-stick surface means food slides right off and they're dishwasher safe. Plus, they'll stay razor sharp guaranteed. A complete set of chef knives can cost you hundreds, but today you can get this professional 6-piece set of NutriBlades for just $29.95. Order right now and we'll even ship them to you free. Now get your own NutriBlade knives from Granite Stone, the last knives you'll ever buy.
Call 1-800-523-8431 or go to
And we are back with the 1-year anniversary edition of Frankly Speaking. Thanks again to former Congressman Tom Reed for being our guest. I want to mention this story quick, and yes, as you can imagine, I do have to take another short break because I ran really long with the former congressman. But Claudia Tenney is advocating for the Laken-Riley Act. I know we were talking about that earlier in the program. Representative Claudia Tenney was in Rochester on Saturday, rallying support for the Laken-Riley Act. The legislation, passed by the House of Representatives on Thursday, would require local law enforcement to notify ICE of arrests or convictions of people who are not citizens. The bill received overwhelming Republican support, but also received, which is kind of rare, 37 votes from House Democrats. This is Claudia Tenney. We are hoping that Senator Gillibrand and Senator Schumer and some Democrats who want to support this and care about public safety. In the latest move by Republican lawmakers to put a spotlight on the situation at the southern border, Tenney says this is a matter that deserves national attention. Will also be a benefit to people. Governor Hochul has indicated on numerous occasions that these people are attacked. These illegal immigrants who attacked the New York PD should be deported. She's talked about how we need to do vetting. We need to get Governor Hochul to sign legislation to advocate for the new Laken bill that's going to be introduced in the state legislature to keep our citizens safe. Let's take another short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
Wow, you found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
If you've won regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
And we are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on the 1-year anniversary edition of Frankly Speaking. We're going to be celebrating all week. We've received some comments, by the way. Congratulations on your 1-year anniversary. Our area needs many more years of your show. Well, thank you. I hope to provide them many more years. Happy anniversary, Frank. So glad you are here. Well, I'm glad to be here as well. So thank you for the nice comments. I want to thank former Congressman Tom Reed. On tomorrow's program, we're going to talk to former Congressman Joe Sempolinsky. We also have Assemblyman Phil Palmisano. Corning Mayor Bill Boland's going to be joining us. Assemblyman Chris Friend. Still working on a few others as well, setting them in stone. So you do not want to miss this special week of Frankly Speaking. Hey, did you see Cuomo? I know we talk about Cuomo quite a bit lately. With some type of, I don't know, delusion of grandeur. I don't know what the term would be, but obviously wanted to get back involved in politics. Well, over the weekend on Sunday, he spoke at the Grove Missionary Baptist Church in New York City. He continued to tiptoe back into the public spotlight 2.5 years after resigning because of a sexual harassment scandal. He told congregants at the church, it is wrong for New York City to have to shoulder the whole flood of migrants into the state because Albany politicians, quote, don't want the problem in the rest of New York. New York State says the migrants can only go to New York City, not the Hudson Valley, not upstate New York, not Long Island, only New York City. Now New York City has over 100,000 migrants who have come to the city. New York City has to provide the housing and education, the medical care. It makes no sense. And then the check comes. You know, when you're in a restaurant and then the check comes and nobody moves, everybody just looks at it, everybody put their hands in their pocket. Well, Mayor Adams says, federal government, you should pick up the tab. You started this. I left my wallet at home. Cuomo said the added cost of the city to assist migrants, the fact that the Big Apple has the highest taxes in the country, the upcoming new congestion toll to get into Midtown, and continuing local struggles with crime and homelessness has made the situation unsustainable, according to the former, now disgraced Governor Andrew Cuomo. Forget how they got here. They are here. They're in our house. They are human beings. They deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Well, I don't know. You can speculate as much as you'd like. Why Cuomo? What could he run for? Governor again, maybe? Oh, here's another comment from a viewer before we take a break. Happy anniversary, Frank. It's a pleasure to have a talk show host who isn't a leftist. Thank you very much for that message. We got to take another short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking at WYDC TV, Big Fox.
We are proud to serve our country, to serve our local communities, to wear the uniform, to be a soldier, to serve abroad when and where duty calls. We are ready to stand with our brothers and sisters to defend, to serve, to fight. We're always ready. We're always there. We are the New York Army National Guard.
You just have to get in the seat of a John Deere 3 Series tractor. Not because of the powerful implements, or because of our unmatched dealer support. Not even because it's in it for the long haul. You just have to get in the seat because being this efficient just feels good.
Right now at Lindsay Equipment, save up to $1,500 on remaining in-stock 2023 3 Series compact tractors.
The 1-year anniversary special of Frankly Speaking. Thank you so much for joining us this morning as we broadcast live from the Hesselson's studio. By the way, did you see, and we don't have time to dive into it, did you see that the FDNY, as we were talking about in New York City, FDNY kind of upset because they had a big ceremony and Trump got cheered and Letitia James got booed. FDNY brass is turning up the heat on pro-Trump firefighters who showered State Attorney General Letitia James with boos. The memo handed out at Big Apple Firehouse this Sunday warns firefighters that department investigators are reviewing video footage of the event in Brooklyn last week to ID those behind the, quote, grossly inappropriate conduct and caution them to keep their politics at home. When you're not on duty, feel however you want about politicians. That's your right. But don't do it on the job's time, on other members' time, or on their family's time. Do it on your own time. Firefighters should understand that BITS is gathering video and identifying members that brought discredit to the department. We want the members to come forward. They will come to headquarters to be educated on why their behavior is unacceptable. Okay. How about this? This is from a viewer. It's easy to form a nation. It's hard to keep it. Who said this? Happy 1 year. We needed more quotes from our founding fathers. Thank you for those comments. Keep them coming in. This is interesting. Fox News is reporting that Mississippi Secretary of State has sent a letter to President Biden's Department of Justice asking it to stop enforcing a Biden executive order that he warns is being used to attempt to register ineligible convicts and illegal immigrants to vote. Now, this is an exclusive with Fox. As you are aware, on March 7, 2021, President Biden issued Executive Order number 14019, which sought to turn the Department of Justice agencies from the historical missions of law enforcement to voter registration and get-out-the-vote operations. Those efforts are an intrusion into state matters and are a misuse of federal revenue and resources. In addition, it appears that these efforts have led agencies under the change attempting to register people to vote, including potentially ineligible felons, and to co-opt state and local officials into accomplishing this goal. Yeah, we're going through a couple of things quickly. I mentioned this with Tom Reed. Netanyahu is ready to defy Biden's, quote, red line on the impending Rafah invasion. Israel has faced heightened security, as you know, after October 7th. In an MSNBC interview Saturday, Biden said he was against further fighting in Rafah and called an invasion of the area a red line, but then quickly backtracked to say there was no red line. It is a red line, but I'm never going to leave Israel. The defense of Israel is still critical, so there's no red line in which I'm going to cut off all the weapons so they don't have the Iron Dome to protect them. We'll go there. We're not going to leave, is what Netanyahu said. You know, I have a red line. You know what that red line is? That October 7th doesn't happen again. That's what Netanyahu said. They understand Hamas is part of the Iranian terror axis. Wow, this show went fast, didn't it? Maybe it's because it's the 1 year. As I mentioned, tomorrow on the program, Joe Sempolinski will be our guest. We do have something in Phil Palmisano, Chris Friend. We're going to talk with Mayor Bill Bolin. So make sure you tune in all week. We got a couple other quick things I'm going to breeze through. With an intense weekend on the campaign trail, it tells us about a Trump-Biden matchup. Biden's annual budget to hit populist economic themes as general election campaigns kick off. Okay. There's a piece by Rich Lowry that said Joe Biden seemed normal in 2020, but then came his nothing normal presidency. He seemed like a steady hand who had been around for a while, who didn't look or sound like a radical, and who knew how Washington worked. He wasn't the leader of a movement, wasn't charismatic, and wasn't particularly witty or well-spoken. He was, in fact, a completely uninteresting and utterly conventional person. He was the most normal guy in the room. He benefited from a favorable contrast with Trump, magnetic, endlessly interesting, constantly outrageous, norm-busting Donald Trump. If Democrats hope to rerun the 2020 campaign, they will once again have plenty of material to work with against Trump. It's the other side of the equation that's the problem. The supposed safe alternative is AWOL and never coming back. That erstwhile Joe Biden, the generic, broadly accepted president, didn't survive contact with the reality of his presidency. Of course, he destroyed his reputation as a steady hand with his disastrous mishandling of Afghanistan. We are out of time for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. I enjoyed Letitia James getting booed, and tracking them down is another clear sign of massive overreach, and people need to see this dangerous takeover for what it is. Thank you for that comment. We are out of time. Thank you to former Congressman Tom Reed. That was a lot of fun having him on the program. Tomorrow, my other former boss, Joe Sempolinski, will be on the program as well. So thank you for joining us as we celebrate 1 year on the air. We're going to be doing that all week long. And thank you so much for those of you who have joined us for the 1 year. If you're new or if you've been with us for a while, always appreciate it. So make sure you tune in tomorrow morning starting at 7 for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV. Big Fox, have a great day, everyone, and we will talk to you tomorrow morning, bright and early.
Getting aerial video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We